Hello and welcome to my channel where we make gourmet tasting cakes using a box mix. And today is the beginning of the December month, and as you can tell, I've already gone to a holiday party. So let's kick things off with some holiday flavors, starting with a gingerbread bundt cake. So stick around while we make something boxed but better. In a large mixing bowl, add 1 white box mix. Next, we are going to add 3 large eggs and follow that up with a ½ cup of molasses. Next, we are measuring 2/3 of a cup of milk. After that, it's time to put the ginger in gingerbread. 1 tablespoon of ginger, then 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. Now it's time to mix that up all nice and beautiful for about 2 minutes until it is well incorporated. Always remember to scrape down the edges of your bowl as needed to make sure that everything mixes in evenly. And you'll notice that this batter is very thin. This is exactly the consistency that we want. Did you know that the largest gingerbread man recorded by the Guinness Book of World Records was made in 1 piece and weighed 1,435 pounds and 3 ounces? For anybody watching this who is not in the US, that is 651 kilograms. That is very impressive. I wonder how many people that would feed at a party. Pour your batter into your bundt pan and be sure to grease it and flour it very well so it does not stick, especially around the center fluted part of the pan. If you do not have a bundt pan, you can use a 13x9 pan, but your baking time will vary. Now it is time to bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. It has been 45 minutes and our cake is done. There are 2 ways to check to make sure it's done. The first is the poke test. Simply poke with your finger, and if it does not leave an indent, it is done. The next is the toothpick test. Insert a toothpick, and if it comes out clean, you know your cake is done. Now we will let it cool while we make our icing. In a mixing bowl, add 2 cups of powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2½ to 3 tablespoons of milk. The amount you will need will vary depending on the kind of milk you are using, as well as the weather. I know that may sound strange, but it actually does have an effect on the consistency of icing. Start with 2½ tablespoons, and if it is still too thick, add another ½ tablespoon from there. A little goes a long way with this icing, so add your milk in small increments to make sure you do not overly saturate your icing and it becomes too runny. If you do, you can always add a little more powdered sugar to thicken it up. A good way to check the consistency is to see how it drips off your beaters. You'll notice when it drips onto your icing below that it will hold its shape for a few moments before meshing back in with the rest of the icing. This is a great consistency. This decorating technique is easy. All you need is a spoon. Get a thick dollop on your spoon and let it slowly drip as you drag your spoon back and forth in zigzags across the top of the cake. You want some pieces to be thin and some to be thicker, and it will run down in its own freestyle form of long and short drips, creating its own natural and beautiful design. After I go completely around the cake, I'm going to set it aside for about 10 minutes to let the icing set. You'll notice after the icing sets that it will not come off to the light touch of your finger. Now you can add your second layer of icing. I'm using smaller dollops to drizzle and stretching it thinly as I zigzag. This gives more definition and texture to the icing. After I finish the second layer, I will set it aside for another 10 minutes to give a final third layer to add extra definition to the cake. For the third layer, use an even smaller amount of icing on your spoon to make sure that the dollops are thin and stringy. Now we have a very beautiful texture to our cake. Before your icing sets, immediately add your gumdrops. The icing will act as a natural glue to keep them on, just like when you decorate a gingerbread house or a gingerbread cookie. Once again, this is your cake, so decorate it however you would like. I'm using gumdrops just because it is naturally associated as the candy of choice whenever you imagine a gingerbread man or a gingerbread house. And there you have it, our delicious gingerbread bundt cake. Thank you for joining me. I had a wonderful time, and I hope you did too. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them, and I will see you next time on Boxed But Better with Genna.
And there you have it.
Yep. Thank you for the cue.